Hi everyone, welcome to episode 17 of the 11FS Newsroom. My name is Melissa Stringer. In this weekly show, we take a deep dive into the biggest news story of the week just gone. Don't forget to give us a like and follow us on LinkedIn so you never miss an episode. So have you guys ever wondered how banks make money or what banking as a service really means? Our experts answer some of your biggest questions in our 11FS Explores video series. Finance can be confusing, but we think visualizing the problem helps. That's exactly what we aim to do with the help of a light board. So check out the full 11FS Explores playlist today at http whatever that thing is called, / bit.ly/11FS Explores. So today we are talking about Tesla buying Bitcoin and Mastercard enabling crypto flow across their network. So it's all about crypto this week. Joining me to talk further about this is Janis Legler, who is the Chief Product Officer at Mode. How are you doing, Janis?
Hi, Mel. I'm very good. Thank you so much. I'm very excited to be on the show.
Thank you so much for joining us. We know that you
are a listener for a while, so I'm very excited.
Absolutely. Yeah, I know you're a busy guy, so it's a joy to have you on the show and a really interesting topic as well.
Yeah.
Great. So I think, if you can just start by introducing yourself and what you do at Mode, that would be fantastic.
Sure, yeah. Janis Legler, I'm CPO at Mode, so that's Chief Product Officer. Mode is a UK-based fintech challenger, which we founded in 2018. And we have a big product suite. And among other products, we have one of the most popular mobile apps for new joiners to buy into Bitcoin in a very simple and secure way, in a very easy fashion. But among these things, also among the product, we were also the first company in the UK to IPO with a consumer-facing Bitcoin offering. To my knowledge, the only one in the world so far, but definitely the only one in the UK. And we were then also the first company in the UK, the first public company to announce that we adopt Bitcoin as a treasury reserve asset. So that means we hold Bitcoin on the balance sheet. And we do various other things to support the Bitcoin network. Also, we're hosting the white paper and so on. But next to that, we're also currently building our own payments solution, which is based on open banking for e-commerce merchants, allows them to basically accept payments directly and at lower cost compared to card schemes. And yeah, we're launching all of this in Q2. So that's Mode in a nutshell.
Awesome. I've also been looking at your website. Firstly, it's very attractive, actually. So that's good. I think your designer has done a really good job.
Great designer, great marketing team.
Absolutely, yeah. But no, it looks like a really interesting, cool company. Love the fact that it's for personal and business, and you're, we talk a lot about open finance, open banking, and embedded finance, and opening up your capabilities and rails to other businesses as well. So for anyone who's listening, it's a really interesting company to check out. It's modeapp.com. Great. So as always, we love getting your questions. If you want to ask a question, just leave it in the comment sidebar and we can answer it live for you. Janis is definitely the expert on cryptocurrencies, so you should be able to handle difficult questions.
Yeah.
Great. So just to start, I'm going to summarize what's happened recently and then we can dive in. So I guess the first thing is that Tesla has disclosed in an SEC filing published on Monday that it has bought $1.5 billion worth of Bitcoin. In addition to the Bitcoin purchase, Tesla expects to begin accepting Bitcoin as a form of payments for its products in the near future. Meanwhile, Mastercard has announced that they are preparing its network to handle the direct processing of crypto payments later this year. Mastercard have previously partnered with WireX and BitPay last year to create crypto cards that allow people to transact using cryptocurrencies, but in those partnerships, the cryptocurrencies themselves still don't move through the network, but are instead covered and converted to fiat on the outward transmission. So this change to supporting digital assets directly will allow more merchants to accept crypto, as well as letting both the merchants and the consumer side avoid having to convert back and forward between crypto and traditional to make purchases. So I think let's start talking about the Tesla's buying of Bitcoin first. So according to the status pages and the tweets for Binance and Gemini and Kraken, the platforms have experienced difficulties on web and mobile following a huge surge in bandwidth demand from traders following the Tesla announcement. How big of a deal do you think Tesla's move into the world of crypto is?
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge validation for the space and for a lot of people that are in the space already since years and have been building. I think this has definitely been a major milestone. So Elon Musk is an idol to many entrepreneurs around the world. He's the wealthiest person in the world at the moment. He's so innovative with the companies that he's built: Tesla, SpaceX, Neuralink. So it's definitely a huge endorsement if he throws his weight around something behind something like Bitcoin. We tend to forget actually that he co-founded PayPal as well. So he said recently he knows a thing or two about payments. But yeah, I mean, I think he just acknowledged Bitcoin for what it is, which is one of the biggest inventions in human history. And that day when he endorsed it with Tesla has definitely been a game changer. We saw it in retail volumes. So you mentioned a couple of exchanges struggling. We've also seen record days on this day, and we've been stress tested. But I think another effect is definitely also the corporates that, if they haven't considered it already, they've definitely been waking up after hearing such news.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it could be a sign that crypto is becoming more sort of widely accepted. Certainly less argument against cryptocurrencies these days. Do you think other corporates will find crypto more attractive as a result?
Yeah, that's a catalyst, but this is a trend we've seen last year already extensively. So Mobo's right in the middle of that. So it started actually over the whole year. It started in kind of the economic crisis after COVID, and Bitcoin has then received endorsement from really respected and reputable macro investors and hedge fund managers like Paul Tudor Jones, for example, but there's a lot of others as well. And it legitimized the asset class for hedge funds and family offices and even university endowment funds, as we have now found out. And they've all invested and built positions. But I think the unexpected thing was that corporates that are non-crypto and also non-financial, they were hoarding a lot of cash to save for rainy days, obviously after the crisis. And at the same time, we had a completely new situation because in last year, there has never been a time where so much money was printed by central banks around the globe. So just a number here, over 20% of all US dollars in existence have been printed last year. So there's no change in sight for this, and they cannot change. And then corporate treasurers are just faced with a decision. So what do you do with the cash if the cash is inflating 15 to 20% a year? In bank accounts and treasuries we're at an all historic low income environment, interest environment, and cash is inflating. So you need to look for other options, but you mainly want to store the value. So you cannot invest in the stock market as it's overpriced. And here Bitcoin really came out as like the only asset class and the only asset in the world which is really finite. So it cannot be inflated by anyone. It doesn't have counterparty risk. It's digital. It's pristine collateral. It's the best performing asset as well. It's up over 400% in 1 year. It's up 200% every year. So I got a lot of these companies thinking, and I'm sure a lot of these names are now familiar. So MicroStrategy started this in August as a non-crypto company. Then Square followed suit. Mode was the first company to announce that we are adopting Bitcoin as a treasury reserve asset in the UK. Now you have various other corporates and Tesla, and it really I think now it's the next domino falling, and it has de-risked this from a career perspective to suggest something like this. You had in the Wall Street Journal, you had in the CFO section now, Bitcoin is mentioned. So I think we'll see tons of more of this.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's legitimized it for the assets that it is, and for treasury and corporate overhang as well. So just like cash that sits around that, as you say, isn't earning any interest and will become expensive, I guess, if negative interest rates are going to happen in the UK. But also as a form of payment. So I find it really interesting that Tesla are sort of planning to accept crypto for payments, because that kind of opens the door for almost, abandoning the ties to local fiat currency, and there could be this global currency that could be widely adopted and democratizes opportunities a bit more for people to sell their products overseas. You don't have to worry about price differentials, as all of that sort of stuff. So do you think that on the flip side, there's anything to be concerned about? Because that sounds quite rosy to me, but I suppose, we were chatting before and you were mentioning about there's some sort of contractors that are a bit more speculative, and they're sort of bringing up risks about government bans. Do you think there's any legs to that?
It is definitely, there's a lot of risks that are being mentioned, which I think are unreasonable, but this is a risk. There are countries, unfortunately, that have banned Bitcoin. I'm saying unfortunately because it's unfortunate for the countries. The Bitcoin price has not been affected by the recent bans, for example, in India. Mm-hmm. I'm saying it's unfortunate because countries that ban Bitcoin will be left out of a wave of massive innovation and technology being built in this country. And with this always comes a lot of talent and wealth creation. And if you ban it, you'll stay out of it. So I think the biggest risk is, at the moment, the most relevant one is the US government banning it. But if you think about it, Tesla has Bitcoin on the balance sheets. Square and PayPal, one of the biggest payments players, they enable products around it. BNY Mellon is getting to the game. You have more billionaires and millionaires soon holding Bitcoin than not holding Bitcoin. If you ban Bitcoin, it has massive effects now on the stock market, on the economy, on the wealth of newly created wealth. So I think from that perspective, it's massively de-risked in that regard.
Yeah, you're right. So the pressure from those huge economic powerhouses will probably soften the minds and hearts of the regulators in the US.
Definitely.
Okay, so also I think it'd be really interesting if we maybe focus on the Mastercard element as well. So enabling crypto in their network. So that sort of leads on from that. Do you think that this is a really significant move given their size and reach? What kind of impact do you think it will have?
Yes. An incumbent name like this coming in is always an endorsement for the industry and gives it legitimacy. In terms of the impact it will have, I've been thinking about this a lot business-wise as well, because you've seen Mastercard and Visa issuing a lot of crypto cards in the last years. That was the main use case. But on the other hand, you have the trend that most of the crypto investors, me included, they don't want to sell their crypto, right? You don't want to sell your Bitcoin at the moment. There is this term called HODL, which means hold on for dear life, and they take it very seriously, right? So I don't see this the immediate, the best problem solved to sell the Bitcoin and use it for payments. What I think could come in here is Mastercard holds a lot of patents for using crypto in terms of settlement. So I don't know if everyone's familiar with this, but if you use a credit card or a debit card, they authorize it instantly, but the settlement happens afterwards, like T+2, T+3, and that creates a lot of inefficiencies for the payment space, for merchants especially. So this could be one angle where I see a company like Mastercard contributing, but it remains to be seen.
Yeah. I think another interesting thing that I've been hearing about, and you probably know a lot more about this than me, is the idea of tokenization of discrete individual assets. So things that are not kind of big commodities, but it might be one singular experience or one singular product, and that kind of uniqueness, I guess, could be kind of interesting. But in terms
the non-fungible tokens.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
And there's a cute acronym for that. I think it's you probably know more, but something like fungi or something that.
Another acronym. So yeah, I mean the non-fungible tokens, the NFTs. It's very interesting word, and it's a very interesting space. We'll see a lot more of that, definitely.
For sure. So in terms of the card scheme for the Mastercard News, they're saying that they haven't announced which currencies are going to be supported, and then I guess we can infer that we don't really know when this will happen, right? But they're also saying that it'll be determined on a case-by-case basis. And one thing that we are hearing some rumors about is new cryptocurrencies that are almost like a state currency, or being issued. They might be pegged or tethered to a regional fiat currency. Do you think that kind of government demand will dictate which currencies Mastercard chooses to enable on this network? Do you think it will be like ecosystems that become enabled rather than them just arbitrarily saying, okay, well, sterling, dollar, euro, we'll just turn those ones on?
I think that's definitely the case. So I think two kinds of coins will be enabled initially, rather than currencies like Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So I think stable coins, centrally issued stable coins by not governments, but something like, for example, Centre, which is Circle and Coinbase. They issued a USDC stablecoin, which is pegged to the US dollar. So these kind of stable coins will be enabled first. And then also they'll work with governments. They are already working with certain governments and central banks to basically be the distributor of their CBDCs, which is central bank issued digital currencies. Mm-hmm. And I guess companies like Mastercard and also PayPal will act as kind of the wallets or the distributor for these currencies. Mm-hmm. For countries where you won't have a wallet directly with the central bank. So I see these are the use cases initially, which is interesting, but it's probably not what one might expect from hearing they will enable cryptocurrencies on their.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. It's slightly misleading. Yeah. And on that point, do you, on the merchant side, do you think that there'll be any benefit for merchant? What kind of new customer base might they have as a result of this?
So if we look at these stablecoins, USDC, or there's other ones like DAI, for example, they are used in DeFi, which is decentralized finance. So you have various protocols where you can have savings accounts or lending protocols and earn yield on it in a completely decentralized way. And once it's quite a niche area still, but once you enable these stablecoins to be used on your card and with all sorts of merchants, what I think is fascinating is that it creates a huge black hole of value flowing into the ecosystem and probably never leaving again, because there's no incentive anymore to transferring out to fiat or converting it back into fiat.
Yeah.
So this and facilitating this and enabling this will drive massive adoption to the crypto and DeFi space.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, and I suppose there's less value lost on interchange and all of that sort of stuff, and then future investment possibilities as a result of collecting this this value in an attractive cryptocurrency.
For sure.
So we also have heard that Visa has similar plans. Do you think that this is an initiative that we'll see more broadly in future? I mean, it sounds like it, right? If Mastercard and Visa are on board, then it seems like that's probably the way that the world will be going.
Yeah, I think you'll see most of the incumbent players and all kind of bigger names announcing that they'll do something with cryptocurrencies for various reasons. Visa has been in there actually quite some time already and experimenting with things. I think what is interesting is that Mastercard and Visa, they're focusing on this a lot, but I personally see open banking as the real threat for card networks and card schemes in UK and Europe in the short term, because we discussed this authorization and settlement issue, which takes some time. Open banking solves both of these. So with an open banking payment, the transfer, the payment is authorized instantly and settled instantly. That's a major threat for the card schemes, right? So I think here the crypto focus, I wonder where they will go with this. I would focus a lot more on open banking. So that's also what we will launch our payment method on. I think another interesting thing to mention for this is how, so I mentioned the initial use case, how you convert basically your crypto holdings into fiat on the spot and it will be used on your card. I think contrary to that, what we will be launching is when you spend with fiat, with your pounds, for example, you will receive rewards in Bitcoin, which is interesting. So you don't lose your Bitcoin when you spend, but more you earn more Bitcoin when you spend. I think this is where we will see a lot of cool new products coming out in this year. And this is, I think, more like a product that customers want at the moment.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting, and potentially earning interest as well, like an increase of value as a result of the points or the Bitcoin that you've accrued as your reward. I think that sounds really, really interesting. I'm also curious. You mentioned about card networks and I guess open banking being a bit of a threat. Do you think that the adoption of crypto in networks signals that Mastercard and Visa are also thinking about the death of cards as we know them, as having a physical piece of plastic and then the point of sale transaction and all of that? I mean, in Asia, we're seeing that a lot of people are using QR codes and much less reliance on cards generally. But I just want to sort of get your thoughts about cards and if anyone's investing in a card-based product, whether you think there's a shelf life to that.
Well, I completely agree with you. So when we've been building the payment product, we especially then you look at the legacy kind of technological infrastructure and you see how fragmented it actually is, right? If you see how much pain points there are for merchants to accept payments, it's incredible. And it's funny that you mention the kind of looking at China for Alipay and WeChat Pay. So we have this influence for us a lot. So Rita Liu joined us in the beginning of last year. She's been heading the international business of Alipay for a lot of years, I think 9 years. Yeah. So when we design the payment method together, we definitely look at how do we make it like the most efficient and the most user-friendly, instead of focusing our payment rail on legacy technology like the card schemes, because here the settlement, it takes time. There's a lot of fraud associated with cards for the authorization. So you really see that there's a lot of jobs to be done still.
Totally. Yeah, must have been a really exciting conversation when you were planning all of that out. And I guess one of the things that must have come up is that, when you're trying to innovate, there's also this tension between being backward compatible, so not alienating the stuff that has come before or, the normal things that people do. It's the same with, a bank deciding to build an entirely new stack or, ship an entirely new product with new technologies, etc. There's this, how much of the old stuff can we use? Does everything have to be completely new? So yeah, do you think that the existing rails will be useful in the future? I know that's a huge question, more philosophical, but do you think we just need a completely new overhaul and perhaps crypto is the stepping stone forward?
That's a very interesting question. So there is this theory around the new, basically when there's a completely new innovation, a paradigm shift, where you would have cars, for example. It's very difficult. They're not faster compared to a horse when they're driving on the old rails, right? And you saw this a lot with crypto exchanges initially when you were transferring in via a bank transfer, and it took days to arrive. But that's not because of the crypto exchange; it's because of the banking partnership, which often is not API integrated or it just takes a long time to process. So that's why it was very important for us, for example, to have your funds need to come in via faster payments and they need to be settled right away. We were the first crypto company to kind of have this open banking on-ramp, so you don't even need to leave the app. You can transfer in the funds instantly. So we're trying to make it, we're trying to bridge the gap, but there's still a lot of friction. I think the end goal is to, think in terms of the user and the problems that you want to solve, and in the best case, work outside of the limitations of the existing legacy infrastructure.
That's definitely good advice across every product that one might be trying to create, I think, irrespective of the market. Great advice. So Janis, do you think that there's anything else that you want to touch on, given that you are like undeniably the expert in this? Do you think there's any areas that we've missed? I see Hannah saying lots of people are actually watching this episode today, so you're a very popular guy. Do you think we should touch on anything else?
Well, I mean, I think it's interesting for the corporate Bitcoin adoption, which we touched upon in the beginning. It's a very interesting topic in terms of the game theory behind it, and who will come next, right? Because Bitcoin supply is capped and it's finite, and the demand is increasing, and that creates a very interesting reflexive loop. And I think it's very interesting now, who are the companies that kind of are flexible enough and adaptive enough to this new situation and want to maximize shareholder value.
Right.
And exactly, who will be the first movers? And then what fascinates me is the idea of what will be maybe the first nation states to adopt this. You saw the mayor of Miami. He wrote a proposal now and will most likely get it through, that he can allocate some of the city's treasuries into Bitcoin to attract Bitcoin talent and people building in the space. I think that's just fascinating. If you think it's true where it can go, I think it brings it to a whole nother level philosophically and intellectually.
Wow, yeah. I think, Bitcoin talent at that level. Well, I don't know what you're doing, but maybe you guys should consider opening an office in Miami. See if you can.
It has crossed our mind already.
Yeah, but no, I think it's really interesting. Again, what you're saying about the corporate interest as well. To me, in a simplistic way, it seems like a big game of chicken, because you're not sure whether to throw your lot in with Bitcoin, and then you're still potentially wondering, oh, is this a fad? Is this gonna catch on? Will there be something else that eclipses the excitement and buzz of Bitcoin? But then on the other hand, if we don't get in now, the value of Bitcoin is going up and up, and so maybe we've missed our chance, or as you say, we may cannibalize some of the benefit of our maximizing shareholder value. Perhaps we've missed our chance if we don't jump now. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see the pecking order, or who else decides to make the leap.
There's trillions in cash sitting on corporate balance sheets in the US.
Yeah.
And all these corporates need to make a decision. And Bitcoin has established itself as one of the best choices. So I think we're only at the beginning. It's a very interesting development, and I don't see it stopping anytime soon.
Yeah, same. I totally agree. And I think it's a really exciting validation and confidence boost to retail investors as well. The small guys who've probably been backing cryptocurrencies and Bitcoins for years and years, and now the big fish is saying, oh, actually, guys, this is not such a bad idea.
Some people are saying it was the first time you could actually front run the institutions as a retail investor, which is just great, I think.
Yeah, it is really, really fascinating. Okay, so I think that's it. We're at the top of the hour. I'm sure that you've got a busy day to get to. Thank you so much for joining us. Really fascinating conversation. Where can people find more about you, Janis?
So you can find Mode on all platforms: LinkedIn, Twitter. It's Mode app and Mode PLC for the public company. I'm personally on Twitter as well. I'm actually just getting started. And my handle is at Janis Legler, which is JANIS LEGLER. If you want to get into Bitcoin, if you want to try it out, you should download the Mode app. We're on iOS, but we've just launched an Android. We have a very attractive referral program, which a lot of customers are using already. So with Mode, really, you can sign up and verify your account in less than 5 minutes. You can connect your account via open banking, so it's really easy to get started to buy Bitcoin. And yeah, I mean, stay tuned for the open banking payment solution for businesses that we're launching in Q2. If you're a business, an e-commerce business, and you want to save on card fees and you want instant settlement, and you want to take advantage of our future loyalty schemes, you should sign up to the waitlist. And there's a lot of exciting things this year. So I'm happy to tell you on the next call about the progress of all of this.
Absolutely, yeah, and I would personally love to find out more. So I'll be knocking on your door. Great, thanks everyone for joining us, and make sure you don't miss another show by following 11FS on LinkedIn and Twitter. Goodbye everyone, have a great day.
Bye.